So, hello. For those of you who might not know, my second child was damaged by an immunization shot when he was 9 months old, left him quadriplegic blind. Quick estimation tells you that was 50 years ago. I made a sort of commitment, or at least I had a yearning to know more about that. And I've spent a lot of years working to know more about it. I'm going to tell you all about what I've found out over 50 years. And I'm convinced, I know how it sounds for somebody to say something like this, but I'm convinced that if you learn the few things, there are 4 methods you have to practice, 4 little health advantages, health hacks, if you will. If you learn them, you can live in a state of immunity. I call it invincibility to disease. I hope that entices you to stay with me. We're all familiar with the concept of energy, vaguely familiar. We take supplements, we take herbs, we eat certain foods, we get in the sun, we exercise. We know we need energy, but there's so much more to that story. And if you'll spend 30 or 40 minutes learning the things I'm going to share with you, you will get a full picture of energy. I'll tell you what it is, where it comes from, and there are 4 ways to collect energy to your body. I'll show you that. And you're going to hear me say things like the one constant in nature. Hang on to that. I'll explain it more in a minute. It's pretty interesting, at least to me. I know some of you don't care about the signs or the science, and I respect that. And so I'm going to tell you how to go straight to what I call the immunity lifestyle protocol, where you can just get the practice of the science rather than the theory. Before I leave this page, notice at the bottoms, here's the fundamental point I want to make today. Humans who optimize energy levels live in a state of comprehensive immunity day to day. And I'm going to teach you how to do that through the course of these slides. Take your time, skip the science if you want to, but learn this for yourself and your family. Story is in 2 parts. I mentioned that, the theory and the practice. Skip the science if you like. Slide number 19 will start you right into the protocol itself. In other words, lifestyle practices that if you follow them will flood your system with what science calls electromagnetic energy, the energy that drives the human body. I'm going to go into that a little further too. I'm going to explain what energy in the first part, in the scientific theory part of the first 17 slides. But look, this thing will help you. There are 800,000 studies on the government database. You've probably heard of antioxidants. There are 800,000 studies on the National Institutes of Health database. Every one of those studies tells you if you get more energy in your system, you will be healthier. Now, I'm going to take you to the peak of more energy in your system. Stay with me. I'm going to use early man before the Industrial Revolution, to try to contrast for you how modern lifestyle makes us sick and how to compensate. You know, Methuselah lived a long time, 900 some years, the Bible says. What was different about those guys and us? We'll go into that, and I'll tell you how you can get as close to Methuselah in your lifestyle as is possible in a modern world. Before the Industrial Revolution, people had a healthier lifestyle. They worked outside, they got a lot of sun, they exercised. In other words, they had to work more than we do, sitting around at our computers. And there are four things that changed. And if you know those four things, you can explain and understand why it is that we are so sick, reflecting on some of the data that RFK spits out every once in a while. The horrible situation. We're way down the list. We spend more money on healthcare, and we're way down the list on health and wellness for our people. Four main changes, four major lifestyle changes that I want to talk to you about, and they all involve one ingredient. Yes, isn't that fascinating? A single ingredient, not the liver, not the brain, not peptides, not proteins, not herbs. I'm going to zero in on the one thing that drives human health, and you'll find it to be simple. You can understand it, and you can practice it, and you can live better without the big diagnosis. Do you ever think about the fact that the DNA, of course, in the egg of the human baby, it has two ingredients that it collects. And in the end, it creates this incredible thing called a human being. Those two ingredients are minerals, represented by the table of elements there, solid, liquid, and gas, and light, sunlight. And through some fantastic happening, we get a little human with all of the incredible things that the body does. You know, the mouth and the eyes and the hands and the muscles and the brain. It's just amazing that this thing can happen over and over again. What is driving it? What is it that gives such incredible potential to the phenomenon we call human life? I'm going to make you understand that if you'll stay with me a little bit. We all got a vague sense of the minerals, matter, liquid, solid, and gas. You know that. And we know that all of these minerals have different properties. Did you know that all of the properties are varied because of the number of electrons surrounding those mineral atoms? Emphasis on the electron. Electron, you probably think of it as a particle of energy, electricity. We're going to explore that a little bit. I'm going to show you that electrons are in fact a collection of what science calls photons. Photons being the most fundamental form of light. So I don't worry too much about minerals. Everybody knows they don't do enough about minerals. I'm going to show you more about that. But here's the thing that is little known in our modern world. Nobody seems to understand and focus on the other ingredient. You remember the other ingredient is the minerals. But here's the one that, well, It has the power. You're going to hear me say the only active ingredient in nature. What an incredible thought. This is the only thing in all of nature that moves, changes, creates. I'm going to tell you more about it, but here's what I want to bring your focus to. You see the color spectrum up here representing different frequencies. Frequency is, look at the wave function down here at the bottom. Frequency represents how many waves are in a given period of time, like 1 second or 1 minute. So the colors represent what is known, or what we call, or what science calls, visible light. What I want to call your attention to before we go into how you collect energy, really, we're going to call it light energy from now on, because in fact, light is the only form of energy in the universe. But look at this. You see this very narrow place that I've put the red box? That is visible light. Now, lay people think of that as all of light, but look at all the other light there is outside of the red box. Do you know that you can collect that light for your health? And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to show you how modern life has prevented you. Well, you know, I don't have to show you much. We live in buildings. We don't get much light. We don't get much energy. And the thing is, you can intensify your collection of energy dramatically. I'm going to tell you how. This is how science talks about light. They want to divide it up and cut it up and magnify it and talk about it and wrap their minds around it. But the simple truth is, all of these 4 forms of energy, which modern science refers to, are light. If you look at the illustration, go up to the top, you see it says theoretical unified force. Well, that's referencing the Big Bang. From the Big Bang, we get, science tells us, 4 forms of energy. Electroweak energy, electromagnetic energy, strong force energy, and gravitation. That's modern science's look at energy. Again, I point out, we vary. We don't go to the extremes at modern science. I say we. I am the Physics of Wellness Academy, and I'm trying to share a few points here with you. We have learned, and we know and accept, the only form of energy in nature is light. I don't care if it's crude oils or calories in your food. You understand that crude oil is organic matter trapped under the surface of the earth for thousands of years, and because it decays, it traps the energy in it, so-called electrons, otherwise light, that might be shed on a tree, for example. A tree is full of energy. You know that from a fire in your fireplace. That energy is sunlight trapped by the tree. Same with crude oil. The tree was trapped under the ground as the earth expanded. It's been there 1,000 years, and the energy is still there. They collect it and refine it. And what are they getting when they do gasoline? They're getting light in a different concentration that what we think of as sunlight, but it's still light. Calories in food, look, When you eat bread and you get some calories from it, where did that come from? Well, it comes from the wheat berry that they harvest on the farm. And how do we get a wheat berry? Well, it grows in the sun, and we harvest it, process it, and make the bread. I hope you're getting my point now. Light, the only constant in nature, part of every action and reaction on a chemical level. Light was first. I love this whole concept. The Big Bang was an explosion of light. And at the Big Bang, now just freeze frame it in your mind, there was nothing but light, which is to say, everything that is, all of reality, is a construct of light. There's no escaping that. There weren't any other Big Bangs. The only thing that created the world we lived in was light exploding throughout the nothingness that was there before the universe and cooling. Look at the fourth line there. As the Big Bang slowed down, it changed reality just like water to ice. Now, I know if you don't think about scientific stuff, that's a little hard to grip. But you understand that refrigerating water changes the reality of that water to something solid. That same phenomenon is what created the world around us, except it was the Big Bang. So you've got to bow a little bit when you think light was first, and you look around you at reality and think that all of these things had to come from light. And what about the body and light? Form and function. I don't care if you're talking about physical structure, form, or brain function, liver function, muscle function. All of those are byproducts of the activity of light. That's pretty mind-blowing, right? Let there be light, one constant in nature. Motive force. There is no motive force without light. Every action and reaction in nature, we're thinking about health, don't forget. Health is a byproduct of light. Movement is a byproduct of light. The liver, the pancreas, the prostate, I don't care what you're thinking about. Light drives it. It's the only active ingredient. That's why we say there's only one cause of all disease. Because at its inception, disease is caused by a deficiency of energy. There wouldn't be this mistaken phenomenon we call disease if there was plenty of light there to make the chemical reaction take place the way it was intended to happen. Just talking about light, and we're going to jump from the human body to an oak log. If you do the calculations, a 1 pound oak log contains 9 billion photons. Photons, by the way, are what you see on your right there. You know, you have a wave of energy. Energy travels in waves. But really, that wave is made up of all these little particles. They're not particles. They're packets of motion, of heat, of color, of power, force, energy, strength, sound. All of these are representations of the action of light. Isn't that amazing? A 1 pound oak log contains about 9 billion photons. Think about yourself. How many, just the number of atoms and humans is noted there, and I can't say it, 10 gazillion number of atoms in the human body. Now think about how many electrons around those atoms. Just iron has 26. So you begin to see how much light there is in the human body, considering that an electron is a gathering of photons. Photons, the most basic form of light. So how do we dare to talk about natural immunity, comprehensive immunity? Indeed, I use the word invincibility to disease. How can we talk about such a thing? I'm going to tell you more. Einstein, by the way, named the photon a discrete packet of energy. Having said what I have said about energy, I have this question. Have you ever been to the doctor when he checked your photon levels? Checked your energy levels? Why don't they focus on these levels? If this is the only active ingredient in nature, why don't our doctors teach us, help us to increase the levels of photons in our system if it's the source of all chemical reaction? They don't. They take body temperature on a spot basis. They don't really focus on it. In order to learn the levels of energy in the system using body temperature, you have to take it over several days. And you can relate the stability of temperature in the human body to the levels of photons. You certainly cannot find that out by spot checking temperature, in spite of the big deal that medicine makes of it. I want you to look at this. We live on an electric circuit just like a light bulb is dependent on electric circuits. See the dog down there? That's my silly little effort to correlate electricity and body function. And it is an electrical function when you relieve yourself. Just as much as running, as you see on the other image there, is an electrical function. And here's how we get that electricity on a large scale. The electrical circuit that animates all living organisms. The sun, of course, at the bottom here. And the sun, notice the line going directly to the battery. Well, first of all, let's talk on the left. You see the light bulb lit up by connecting the two wires to the battery, creating a circuit. That's exactly what nature does, allowing living organisms to be alive. And here's how it does it. First of all, the sun goes directly to living organisms. You see that represented by the line. And it goes to the food. You see the large arrow going to the food and the atmosphere, the air. And the sun charges the food, we call it calories, and it charges the air molecules, we call it a charge. And it also, the Earth is charged by the sun, and in cooperation with the massive boiling fire in the center of the Earth, there is a magnetic field created around the Earth. Yes, that partially contributes to our collection of energy. And then, like any electrical circuit, there must be a draw. You have to have a positive pole that draws the energy through, and that's gravity. You do know that you get tired because you're struggling against gravity all day. So why doesn't medicine check these levels? These levels, the levels of light in your system, must be actively maintained, especially in a modern world. I'm going to show you the ways that modern life compromises the levels of electromagnetic energy, i.e. light, in your system. The levels of light have to be maximized every day. Yes, every 24 hours. We call that whole thing sleep. Sleep is so grossly inadequate to describe what really happens while you lay down and sleep. Sleep is not about rest. You do not rest. In other words, you don't gain energy from the act of sleeping. You gain energy because your brain reverses polarity and collects electrons, light, from food during deep sleep. That's highly technical for some of you, but that's the fact of the matter. Deep sleep, the brain reverses polarity, allowing it to collect light energy from food and allowing cells to collect life energy from food. That's what sleep is. It's not rest in the way you think of it. It's not a passive activity. It is highly active collection of energy from food. That's an interesting distinction, don't you think? You'll find that described in detail in our book on page 224, by the way. And the booklet we're going to suggest you tell us you would like to see a copy of by sending us an email, the Immunity Lifestyle Protocol booklet. We'll send that to you. I'll tell you about it later. Look at this. For many high school chemistry texts, they tell high school students chemical reactions are the result of changes in the light energy in the body. In other words, the electrons, that's the most common reference. Electrons, the electricity. Now you understand from our earlier discussion, it's really light. It doesn't involve protons or neurons, i.e. the atomic nucleus. It involves the electrons surrounding the atomic nucleus. The a priori need of the body to sustain itself is light energy. And further, if you eat foods, I'm going to tell you about some foods that deplete your life energy. There's just 2 or 3 of them. And you got to stay away from them. It's self-destructive if you don't. Here's a little story about the oak log again. Remember, when you burn wood, you are releasing light from the sun, stored by the tree. A 1-pound oak log will yield 6,877,656,000 photons of light energy. That's the same thing we get from food, light energy. I'm just using the tree to help you relate to the fact that light is everywhere. It's all the energy we have. It's the only kind of energy there is in the universe. So, talking about light energy in the universe, look at this simple illustration. Plants, of course, you will agree, are living organisms just like us. They have the same metabolic processes, although far simpler than the human anatomy. And look at these two plants. Everything is exactly the same. The soil, the air, the fertilizer, the plant itself, everything exactly the same. The temperature, except the amount of light. Look at the shocking difference. Light. We know this stuff intuitively, but I'm just presenting it in a more focused fashion. You know these principles. I'm just verbalizing them. The plant has to be in a sunny place. We never apply that to our biology. We are the same way. People that have cancer and heart disease and Alzheimer's and diabetes, they are like the plant on the left. They don't have enough light energy, and if you give them light energy, everything else, assuming a reasonable lifestyle, everything else will fall into place. Light is the creative intelligence behind the human body and all of nature. Yes, intelligence. Yes, light is more than a sparkle of energy. It has a depth to it that no man understands. I told you back in our early slides, there was a time in history when there was nothing but light. Immediately after the Big Bang, all there was light. Everything that you see in the universe is a byproduct of the creative intelligence that we call light. Something less than God, but more than Mother Nature. Light, the source of it all. I mean, it's a shocking revelation when you begin to understand it. But it's really said when I say to you, the only active ingredient in nature. Everything else in nature is inert, has no ability to move or change or function or anything. Light drives everything that we know of as nature, especially the highest form of nature, the human body. Learn to collect light and be well. You don't need, can you imagine a world without doctors and medicines and surgeries and sickness and hospitals and horrifying diagnoses, and not to mention the confusion that most people walk around in related to wellness? I mean, there's a new wonder drug. Have you heard? AI is going to cure cancer. Oh, let's wait another 50 years for AI to cure cancer, just like President Nixon's cancer effort. There's no progress in cancer. It's worse than ever. And what is cancer? Now, we don't treat cancer. What we do is tell you how to increase the levels of light in your system, and you won't need to know about cancer. It won't come close to you. There's a paper on the website that explains that in more detail. Okay, I'm a little overexcited. Sorry. Now, here's something really interesting. You see this body up on the left there. The one on the far left is a display of heavy inflammation. Inflammation commonly known as the beginning of disease. It's really a deficiency of light, because you see the man on the right? This is a man following our lifestyle who has become fully saturated with light energy. He doesn't have any inflammation. These images, by the way, are taken by a thermographic infrared camera that literally sees heat. And you see it broken down there from white to red to green to yellow. Those are different temperatures that this camera sees. Good health is characterized by even body temperature, stable body temperature, as you see on the right. 800,000 studies in the National Institutes of Health database tell us that. You've got to learn how to optimize your levels of light. Look at these two eyes. You know about iridology, maybe. They look into the eyes and they read the iris. The eye on the left, see how dark brown it is? And after a few weeks of detoxification, look at the shadows in the eyes. Some of the crud in the blood has been removed. This eye is going to green. That's proof that we need to get more energy in our system. I turned that before I meant to, but I can't go back now. So anyway, going on, the body operates just like a battery. And you can learn to charge your battery. I want you to look. Most people are walking around in the middle of the battery picture. That's how much energy they have every day. It never gets above that. We can put you over on the far right where you're totally charged and you're going to feel better, you're going to do better, you're going to live longer, everything's going to be better. Think of a flashlight. You've owned a flashlight whereby the batteries got low and the beam was reduced in brightness. That's exactly what happens to the body. And I'm going to tell you the 4 methods for maintaining high levels of energy in your system. Now here's the 2 manifestations of light in the living system. One is, you see the display there, the illustration of an amino acid. Hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, hydroxide, so forth. Now, what about those little lines? What do they represent? Well, they represent magnetism. Those are the forces that bind this amino acid together. It's called together, these electromagnetic forces, which are really light. They have called together these particular atoms, and in doing so form an amino acid that the DNA needs to hold the body together. Magnetism. Magnetism is a property of light. And on the organism level, it is structure. This is how your bones hold together, your brain holds together, your skin holds together. Magnetism, a function, a byproduct, the evidence for the presence of light energy. And the other dimension of life is function, movement, heartbeat, brain function, hand function, muscle flexing. That's what we call a nerve impulse. It's an electrical charge stored in the nerves. Every time you move, every time you blink your eye, whatever you do, you generate an impulse from the nerve cell that moves the muscle, moves the liver to secrete a particular enzyme. It's still light, though. This is why we have to watch our levels of light energy. So there we go. I've said it before. One constant in nature and therefore in human physiology. All of nature must have light. You see the light bulb in the sunlight. You see the what's called the magnetosphere surrounding the earth, generated by the fire in its belly, coupled to the sun, creates a magnetosphere, light. And look, magnetism. Do you ever wonder about the precision of body function? Look at the forces coming off of that magnet. That is exactly how the body organizes itself. Magnetic forces. They're perfectly organized. And here's proof of it using a special kind of X-ray that sees light generated. You see the whole body is saturated with light, and that's proof of it. Now, in closing to this section, we're going to go into the 4 methods of collecting energy and maintaining energy. But in closing, here's an illustration that's more common, more familiar to most people. I'm trying to tell you and convince you that the organizing principle in life and health and wellness is energy, light. Here's a construction illustration showing you what is called the superstructure of this building. That superstructure, that steel structure, is what allows the building to come together. All parts of the building, from the plumbing to the electricity to the furniture to the floors to the ceiling, are dependent upon the steel superstructure. That's the way energy is in life. It is the superstructure of life. So, in closing this first section, utopian healthcare, what would that look like? Let there be light. Okay, we'll come back to this. So, here we go with the 4 methods of collection, how the body collects energy. There's only 4 ways. I'm going to go into every one of them with you, tell you a whole new dimension so that you can dramatically increase the levels of energy, the only active ingredient in nature. You can add levels to your system, making you stronger, healthier, longer lasting. Before we go there, I'm going to give you a big secret to living long, no matter how sloppy your lifestyle is. I've told you earlier that for energy to collect to the body, you must have that other dimension of an atom, i.e. an element. And in the case of the physical body, a mineral. You have got to flood your body with minerals 1 time a year. You cannot do it with supplements. Yes, we want you to take a supplement every day. You see it there on the screen. But to start off, 1 day a year, we want you to get in a very steaming hot tub of water with mineral powder in it. And you can find that powder on our website. Please click through to Amazon. We get paid a little bit when you click through to Amazon and purchase the product. But the point is, get in a mineral bath once a year. Take your mineral supplement every day. We recommend alfalfa from the western states, particularly around the Rocky Mountain area. And be sure while you're in the tub to make some mud and put it right on your skin, just like you see this lady doing. If you have skin trouble, this is the solution to it. And if you don't have skin trouble, this is the solution to keeping it that way. So, foundational to the immunity lifestyle protocol is building up and maximizing the level of minerals in your system. And we're going to get to the gas, elements come as gas, liquid, and solid. You're dealing here in the tub with the solid portion. We're going to talk about the gas portion in a minute. So foundational to the immunity lifestyle protocol, a mineral bath. By the way, if you live in Florida and many other states, there is a mineral spring you can go to. What a delight that is. You'll be amazed at how, if you go to the spring in the morning, you cannot resist a nap in the afternoon, a long, deep nap, because the minerals will be trying to locate in your cells and in your tissues, and it drives you to sleep. Anyway, here we go. Remember this from above. We told you the DNA built the body with only 2 ingredients: the elements, the mineral and gas and liquid elements, and light from the sun, photons, what Einstein called the most fundamental particle. It's not a particle, it's a packet of energy. It's called a photon. Those two things are foundational to your existence. And it's amazing. We said earlier, it is amazing what the DNA does with those 2 ingredients. Now, the 4 methods of collecting light, otherwise known as, for us, the immunity lifestyle protocol. Yes, it'll make you immune. It will indeed make you invincible to disease if you will practice it. Here are the 4 methods of collecting energy, the 4 ways that the human body collects electromagnetic energy. What you and I know of is light. Streaming. Of course, you think of sunlight. I'm going to tell you all about that. It's more than sunlight. By the way, for modern man, that collection method is down 75% from the days of Methuselah. And number 2, respiration. Yes, you take in energy every time you breathe. Down 60% for modern people. I'm going to show you how to increase that. Motion. Most people think of exercise, but motion, even for sedentary people, especially for sedentary people, is down 75%. We don't walk to the store anymore. We don't work in the fields. We don't ride horses. So we are down 75%. I will say that riding in an automobile, of course, is super smooth these days, but it can bring a nice dose of motion to your cells. Anyway, we're going to go into that. And finally, diet and sleep, which is down 50% for modern people. I'm going to tell you about how to change that and make yourself that much stronger by adding that percentage of light or energy to your system. By the way, this protocol, we have a patent on the process, which is what we call the Immunity Lifestyle Protocol. And yeah, I encourage you to tell everybody you know about this thing. That patent in no way restricts your ability to talk to people and friends and neighbors. The only thing we have the patent for is so other people won't commercialize this. We want to teach it to the whole world, and so when it comes to commercializing it, that is protected. Okay, here's number one, streaming light. Now, of course, you think of sunlight. Everybody does. Oh, we need to get out in the sun more, and we talk like that, and we envy golfers because they go out all the time. And sunlight, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to de-emphasize sunlight, but I want you to note, look at the purple section of the light spectrum there. Do you realize that that is sunlight? That is what you see when you look at and admire sunlight. But look at all the other colors, including black. And you notice that there are a great many more types, strengths, frequencies of light. And you can collect them all even when you're not in the sun. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's simple, it's cheap, and it's life-saving. And though you're not in the sun, you are collecting all these other dimensions of other frequencies of light. Excuse me, I just had a little dry mouth there. Streaming light collection is down 75% for modern people. That's not, we don't disagree on that. I mean, we live in buildings and automobiles, and we don't get outside anymore. Even the golfer who goes out once a week or even twice a week, he's doing way better than people who don't get out at all, but he isn't doing much. And it doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to show you how to collect light all the time, 24 hours a day. But think about primitive man. He got outside all day, every day. And he collected energy in that way. I'm going to show you a powerful hack. I don't know about that word. You know, people use that with regards to technology, is how you hack modern life so you can move ahead. Okay, we're going to hack collecting light energy. Here it is. It goes back to Ben Franklin. You realize, of course, he was the first guy to recognize that he could collect energy by putting his kite up into the sky when it was lightning. And he found out that his key got warm and even lit up at times. And he realized that he was collecting energy, that energy could be collected down a conducting material. How cool is that? Ben Franklin, you know, this is the guy that gives us the Ben Franklin stove. He was really a guy. I read his biography. Really a guy. You'd enjoy that. But look at my pictures now on the right-hand side. Yes, we are telling you to put a conductive material on your arm and on your leg and on your neck, if you will. I wear 3 of them for this very purpose, to collect energy. And it doesn't have to be sunlight. Remember what I told you about the light spectrum. There's light everywhere. Even when you're sitting, even when you're laying in your bed, you are bathed in a sea of light energy. And if you have that conductive material on your arm, you're going to collect it. And by touching your skin, it's going to transmit to your body and distribute throughout your body. We know this. It's as simple as putting a quarter on the sidewalk. It'll get hot. The sun will make the quarter hotter than the sidewalk. Why? Conductive material. It compounds the collection of energy. And you can transmit that to your living body by wearing jewelry. Yes, jewelry. Bracelet. A necklace, an anklet. Don't underestimate this. It's powerful. Think of the quarter, how much more energy it collects when it's in the sunlight. Conductive metals will do that for you. Go to Amazon and use our website, please. We earn a little bit when you go through our website to Amazon, and it helps us as we try to teach more people about these things. So, how do you collect all the other frequencies of streaming light energy? I always think of a fish in water. We are like a fish in water when it comes to energy. We live in it. We breathe it. We walk in it. We look through it. It's all around us. It surrounds us. Collect it. Okay, number 2 method for collecting energy. Respiration, breathing. Down 60% for modern people. Why? Closed air conditioning systems. I'm going to show you the details of that in the next slide. But look at the air molecules up in the top left or top right there. We're breathing in those things all the time, and if they're in the sun, they are charged with light energy, and your body collects it, downloads it to your system. And oh, by the way, you must have it. It's not enough to eat. You have to breathe too. And people think breathing is all about oxygen. Well, yeah, it's about oxygen, especially the electrons, i.e. collection of photons, i.e. light, that is attached to every oxygen molecule that is charged by the sun. Recycled air does not carry this charge. Therefore, your body cannot download it. Modern homes and buildings mostly are designed to leave you in recycled air 24 hours a day. No light energy. Think of primitive man. He breathed charged, sun-charged air all day, every day. And you can't go back there. I know you don't want to go back to living outdoors, but look at this. Well, I pretty much told you about this. This is just another illustration. Note the bottom line. Breathing is a light energy collecting activity, but only when the air is charged by the sun. Now, here's the one I wanted you to see. You see the top figure of the house? That's a closed air system. It just recycles the same air all the time. As a matter of fact, it is designed to keep fresh air out. Isn't that amazing? We breathe recycled air, what, 80, 70, I don't know, 90% of the time. All of that time we should be collecting energy. Modern homes are built to keep it out. I'm going to show you a simple fix. But anyway, on the bottom, that's a home ventilation system. You see the two ducts crashing through the roof there. One collects fresh air and the other eliminates recycled air, or air that's already been through the house. That's the way it should be. Check your house. If you don't have this complete system, you need what I'm going to show you now. Yes, an ionizer. Ionizes the air in your home. It charges the air with light energy, otherwise known as electricity. You realize you take 5,000 breaths every night and 25,000 all day? For you, are you collecting energy or not? And you can buy these things, they're cheap. Please go through our website if you decide to buy something. They're cheap, and you can get one for your whole house. You can get one for your bedroom. You can get all sizes and all types. It's a simple fix. You'll start feeling better immediately. Number 3 way to collect more energy: motion. Everybody thinks exercise, but you don't have to exercise. I mean, look, exercise is great. We all do it. I try to do a little exercise every day, and you should too, even if it's just a walk. Get the heart beating and so forth. But if you're sedentary and you don't exercise, and you know damn well you're not going to, then I'm going to show you a hack. And that hack is designed to get motion. Why? For the cells. The cells don't have any method of intaking and eliminating fluid. They live in a fluid environment unless you provide them with motion. That is how they metabolize. Look at the picture on the left. Do you see how packed cells are in the tissue? And you see the little cell in the middle there, all the stuff going on. He has got to have motion to metabolize. If you don't exercise, I'm going to show you what to do. What is exercise? It's motion. It's the cells being moved about and the fluid in the tissues being pumped about by the motion. In another context, we call this motion movement or vibration or motion or waves. Motion is a form of energy. Now look at this. I'm going to show you something that provides you all the benefits of exercise except muscle growth. Now that's a bit of a modified statement. I mean, you know, I'm not going to be able to make you a superior athlete by doing this little hack I'm going to show you, but it's going to be 100% better than nothing. Kinetic motion. That is the motion caused by the vibration of cells, of atoms. That's the fundamental kinetic motion, is that of atoms, photons in atoms. And that motion is required for cells to metabolize. Look how packed in cells are. What is kinetic motion? What's another word for it? Vibration. Yes. Look at this. Here are exercise hacks. We just want kinetic motion. You've got to do this every day. Twice a day for 20 minutes is super terrific AAA. But do it once a day for 20 minutes. Vibrate your entire body. This is a somewhat new thing, what they call a vibration plate, and you stand on it, and it gives you a very vigorous vibration all over. But look, you can use a vibration pad on your bed or in your chair. Get yourself a chair with multiple. This is one we've designed for nursing homes. It's a whole body vibration system, and it's an industrial type. It's very high level vibrations. You probably are not interested in that for your home. It costs over $2,000. But the point we're making here, you need to get some vibration every day if you're sedentary. You're going to be better and do better and feel better every day. And then, of course, the number 4 hack, if you will, the big source of energy, of light, of photons, is calories in food. They're called calories. What are they? They're electrons. What is an electron? It's light. It's a collection of photons, which is the fundamental form of light. And they say diet is about protein, carbs, and fat. No. Diet is about the atom. That's what the body sees. You know what the body does with food. As soon as it gets it, it starts tearing it down. And it reduces to atoms. And that's another story. I'm going to get back to it, but let's go now. The number 1 thing about diet, food, number 1, animals larger than you. I'm going to explain it in a minute. Number 2, scavengers, land and sea. These animals are filthy. You can't eat them. And their tissue is super strong because they're designed to live, to coexist with viruses and bacteria. And so your digestive juices cannot reduce them appropriately. And number 3, of course, you've all heard about ultra-processed food. If you watch the news at all, Robert Kennedy talking all about it. You can't go there. You can't depend on that. You know that. They have so processed that food that there's no light energy left in it. And then number 4, you must learn something about the only time cells harvest light energy from food. Yes, we're talking about sleep, but more particularly, more importantly, we're talking about deep sleep. In order to get this whole story, you're going to have to send me an email so I can send you our little booklet. But let's look at these first, and I'll tell you about that at the end. In this universe, this is a law of nature, okay? To collect a negatively charged particle, substance, i.e. light energy, it's negatively charged, you must have a positively charged environment. It's a law of nature. Now you've got to learn about this because it's so important. We're putting special focus on this because food is the largest supplier of light. Of all the 4 methods, food is the biggest one. And I'm going to show you about the negative and the positive. Here we go. Okay, here we go. I'm back to my slide. And I'm talking to you about animal. You cannot eat animals larger than you. Seems strange, doesn't it? Let me explain this to you. It's so important. People lose half of their energy collecting ability by eating animals larger than them. You see the amino acid here on the right. The little lines, I told you earlier in the presentation, the little lines represent magnetism. And the strength of that magnetism is proportional to the size of the atom, or the animal. Okay, the little lines, the little magnetic forces that bind the tissue together at the atomic level, their strength is proportional to the size of the animal. You can understand that. An 800-pound animal, beef cattle, has to hold himself together stronger than a 150-pound man or woman. So those little energy lines you see in this drawing are much stronger in the beef cow than they are in a lady or a man. So when you eat them, you're taking in that energy that is as much as 4 times stronger than the energy that binds your body together and drives the function of your body. Well, that causes all kinds of problems. But most particularly for our discussion, when you eat beef, you cannot get into deep sleep. Deep sleep is when you collect energy from food. So now you can see why I'm telling you, don't eat animals larger than yourself. That night and for 2 nights on a declining scale, you will not get into deep sleep. Therefore, you will not collect energy or collect as much energy on the 2nd and the 3rd night. I hope that's clear. It's one of the biggies when it comes to why people don't have enough energy. In modern life, we eat so much beef, and it destroys deep sleep. I know you're probably not going to buy into that. I know how you look. I had a very good friend tell me the other day, I just don't know if I can quit eating beef. Oh, wait till he finds out. Wait till he gets the big diagnosis. Beef and his pleasure in eating it will seem very small. I encourage you to carefully think about this and observe this. Your life will improve dramatically. You cannot collect energy if you cannot get into deep sleep. If you eat animals larger than yourself, the magnetism in the atoms that make up that animal is so strong that it will stimulate your body 2 to 4 times stronger than it's supposed to. And you won't be able to get into deep sleep. Now, I'm not going to talk on about it. There you have it. Make your decision. Okay. Oh, well, I guess I am going to talk a little more about it. You see the little red lines on the chart there on the top left? That's deep sleep. You only get about an hour and a half of it. That's when you collect energy. That's when the cells collect energy. You know, people think sleep is a passive phenomenon. They call it resting. It's not passive. You don't feel better because you rested. You feel better after sleep because your body has collected energy, light, from food. That's why you feel better, not because you rested, not because you laid down, not because you went unconscious, but because your body collected energy from food and added it to your cells. You eat beef, no light energy collection. It lasts for 72 hours. Please see our cancer article on our website. It directly relates cancer to low levels of energy in the system. And this, in a modern America, is one of the primary causes of low energy. That being consuming animals larger than yourself. Now, talking about deep sleep. Deep sleep is the reversed polarity of the brain. Changes from negative to positive. Remember, I told you, you had to have a positive environment to collect light energy, which is negative. That's what happens during deep sleep. The brain, the nervous system, reaching to every cell, goes positive so it can accept negatively charged light energy from food. That's pretty simple, basic science. You agree with me, positives and negatives. In nature, you've got to have a positive on one side, a negative in the other to attract each other. Two negatives do not attract, they repel. So your cell, when it's negatively charged, cannot collect energy from food. It only happens during deep sleep, the reverse polarity of the brain. You see how little deep sleep we get there in the little red circle? An hour and a half. Barely that. There is a citation on the bottom there, a scientific paper you can go and look at. By the way, I mentioned elk and buffalo here because those are the other two large animals that people consume with some regularity. I mean, those two are not big ones, but they're large animals. They're too big. The energy in them is too much for your body. If you'll do this, you'll double your deep sleep. If you get away from large animals, you'll double your deep sleep. You'll sleep deeper, longer, better. You'll feel better. You'll have so much more energy in your system. I know it seems like we ought to get energy when we eat big animals, and we do get it, but it's too strong for our system. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Just dwell on it. Those animals are held together by much stronger forces than what holds us together. And when you take that energy, that magnetism, that light energy into yourself from a large animal, it's too much. Okay. Anyway, here's a little illustration of positive and negative. You understand that. You've done it. You've played with magnets. You know, if you turn the poles the same way, they repel each other. And you turn them around and they attract each other. I mean, that's a law of nature. You can understand that. Now relate it to your food and the reverse polarity of the brain. Down here on the right, the yellow, well, really I've got these reversed. The brain turns positive and it attracts. Whereas when you have two negatives up here above, they repel. You got to have that. Deep sleep. I know it's not out there much. Modern science does not talk about it. But if I challenged a scientist with this to his face, he would not deny it. He couldn't deny it. They just haven't thought of it yet. You think about it. Okay, so those are the four methods, and I'm going to show it to you in a quick little overview here before I close. And there's a booklet. If you will email me, I will send you that booklet so you can get the full understanding of this whole deep sleep energy thing. And you can live better and longer. Use this information for yourselves, for your family, for your friends. Talk about it to anyone at any time. Just don't commercialize it without talking to us. We hold a patent on this process. Now here's the next dimension of the food and diet. Eat no scavengers, land or sea. Now, you know what the definition of a scavenger is. He eats dead fish or waste, like an oyster. An oyster eats waste. A pig will eat a dead animal. A shrimp filters the water. That's the definition of a scavenger. A scavenger is made different. He's built different by the Creator. His body is so strong and so tough that he can coexist with viruses and bacteria. That's right. Of course, that makes him filthy. He eats dead waste. It makes him filthy, but he's also so tough so that he can live with viruses and bacteria that your digestive juices cannot get much from him. Now, people say, well, pigs don't eat dead waste anymore. Well, that doesn't change the nature of their flesh. Their flesh is designed to live, to coexist with viruses and bacteria. It's much tougher and stronger built than that of what we call a clean animal, an animal that does not eat dead flesh or dead stuff. And your digestive juices cannot reduce it, not only is it, if you eat it, do you get the filth, but you cannot use that matter, you cannot reduce that matter to a point where you can get the light energy out of it. Never eat scavengers. Catfish, tuna fish. How do you know a scavenger? How do you know what to eat from the sea? He must have both fins and scales. Now, people love tuna so much, and they love catfish so much, they go and they test me, and they examine these fish. They go to the fish market. Can I see a piece of tuna? You'll never find a scale on a tuna, except right around the base of his fins. There appears to be some scaly tissue, skin tissue. That does not qualify as a scale. From the sea, it must have both fins and scales. And when I say scales, I'm talking about over the entire body. A shark is a scavenger. He doesn't have any scales. How about an oyster? Does he have fins and scales? No. What does an oyster do all day? Filters water of fish poop. That's not food. Okay, scavengers. You cannot prosper eating scavengers. I know it's unpopular. People want to eat what they want to eat and they don't want to be bothered. That's fine. Do it. But don't be surprised when you're like the guy down below here. Why did this happen to me? I don't eat junk. I take care of myself. Look at the cancer article. Modern research science does not talk about this stuff. They're off into the mysteries of the molecule and the mitochondria and all of these glorious things they know. Meanwhile, they ignore the fundamental laws of life. Eating scavengers. Read this page. There's a citation for you right there on the government database. Put that in your computer. A modern study found 35% of all pork meat sold contained deposits of E. coli bacteria. Can you imagine? If you eat pork, you cannot avoid getting that 35% at some point. And you're going to have E. coli. And oh, we've had an outbreak of E. coli in western Florida. Honey, E. coli infection is everywhere that people eat pork. It is a common ingredient in pork. Most people cook it long enough that it kills the E. coli. But hey, the E. coli's in there and you're going to fail to kill it one time. Don't eat that stuff. It's not designed to be eaten. And anyway, the tissue is so tough you can't collect energy from it. Come on, get over that. Now, look, using bacon as a garnish does not fall into this category, although turkey bacon is widely available. You can chew on a little bacon without being defined as eating pork. Please don't let that deter you and take you away from accepting this truth. Eat your bacon or start getting turkey bacon. But don't let it turn you away from the fact that you cannot keep your body with optimum levels of light energy eating scavengers. Okay, that's it. That's the Immunity Lifestyle Protocol. There's only 4. Streaming light, respiration or breathing, motion, and diet. Those are the only 4 things that you've got to follow and live faithfully by. And if you do, you'll be healthier, stronger, happier. No horrifying diagnoses in your future. Please do this. Please look into this for your family. In closing, let me show you in pictures what the Immunity Lifestyle Protocol looks like. First of all, it starts out with a mineral bath once a year and a continuing supplement every day from the western Rocky Mountain area. We want those because that's the youngest earth on the surface and that has the mineral charge to it. But take your mineral bath, and by the way, make a little mud and spread it on you, especially in problem areas. And your skin will drink those minerals up. You'll love it. And here are the other 4 changes. Number 1, wear conductive jewelry all the time. We live in a sea of energy, way more than visible light. Collect it using jewelry, conductive jewelry. Number 2, respiration. Breathe energy charged air all the time, especially at night. Get yourself an ionizer or check your system and be sure that you have more than just a closed air system in your home. Get you a little ionizer for your desk at work. Number 3, immerse yourself daily in a vibratory field, especially if you do not exercise. Well, look, if you exercise, you don't need this. And I mean exercise faithfully. You need 20 to 40 minutes of intense vibration, whole body, because you're a bag of cells. You're not muscles and tissues and bones and brains and livers. You're a bag of cells, and cells need motion to metabolize. If you don't exercise, get yourself a vibratory chair. Get yourself a vibration plate. At a minimum, get a pad you can sit on for 20 minutes a day. That's so simple. Adds life. Number 4, diet. Don't eat animals larger than you. The energy that holds them together is 2 to 4 times stronger than the energy that drives your body, and it will destroy deep sleep. Don't eat scavengers. They're made different. God made them different. They're tougher. They can coexist with viruses and bacteria. and the tissue is tough. You cannot break it down and get the light energy in it. Not to mention the fact that you're getting the filth that comes with it. Oysters, what does an oyster do? He breathes river water. Water. Why? What's the design? Well, he filters out the poop. He breaks the poop down so it doesn't build up in the system, in the water system. Don't eat oysters, they're nasty. No animals larger than you, no scavengers, land or sea. And finally, you can't really see it here in my slide because it's behind me. No ultra-processed food. You know what it is. Potato chips, candy canes, some hamburgers and cheeseburgers and chicken burgers, French fries. Okay, you're going to do that every once in a while. I know it's part of the American way of living. But hey, do not make a habit of it. Stay away from ultra-processed food. Cook your food. Mama is the ultimate nutritionist. She makes dinner every night and takes care of the family. That's real healthy living. Don't depend on ultra-processed food. Okay, that's the whole story. Let there be light. Don't forget. The only form of energy in the universe is light. And you can magnify the levels of light in your system by doing the 4 simple things I just told you about. Remember this, all disease is, at inception, caused by a deficiency of light energy. Oh yeah, it gets real complicated after you've been sick for a long time, and the doctors can go on and on about it. In fact, it's crazy how many research studies are done. The doctors just go crazy with this deep, heavy science. The simple fact is, if you keep your body charged with energy, you will not have. Disease will never start. I should close this with another slide about inflammation. I hope you remember it with the 2 people, and we did an infrared scan, and one scan was modeled with inflammation, different levels of heat in different places on the body, and the other body was all one color because he was maxed out with light energy. And there was no difference. His body temperature was the same everywhere. The energy levels in his flesh was the same everywhere. That's what we need. That's what we must have. So here we are at the end. Look, this is where I want you to go. If you work with us, we'll get you an infrared scan before and after. But you can do it yourself too. You can probably get a scan locally. Scan yourself before you start this protocol. And then when you get 2 or 3 months into it, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, when you get comfortable with it, go get another scan. And you will see this thing changes your biology. From heavy inflammation on the left to 0 inflammation on the right. From the cloudy eyes to the almost clear eyes on the right. 800,000 studies on the National Institute's database tell you, this is the antioxidant theory of disease, and they all tell you one thing. If there's a lot of electrons in the system, you will be immune, healthy, strong. That's all we've told you, but we haven't, those people tell you to take herbs and eat grapes. It's much more involved than that. Just know that I've given you the basics. If you follow them, you don't need to worry about the high science. Read our article, LinkedIn Inflammation 3. It gives you references and it gives you all you need to know about the whole theory. Write to me at physicsofwellness.com and I'll send you a copy of our inflammation article and our little booklet about this. God damn.